lies they call Hatfield. They will talk so much filth. They're called Hatfield. There is Ross, Chris, Trott and Smith. They will talk so much shit. They're called Hatfield. They're called Hatfield. They're called Hatfield. They're called Hatfield.
Wow.
Oh my
Welcome.
Somebody's an editor's fan by the sounds of things.
I know.
It's
right?
good though.
They're very
Really good.
Very
Welcome
good.
to the Hat Chat Podcast, episode 41, with your hosts,
Yes.
Chris Trott, that's me.
Ross Hornby.
My name's Alex Smith.
Wonderful.
You're welcome.
And that beautiful ditty was by Matt, a.k.a. Big Little Shorts, a bored Welshman, 30 years old, looking for a good
Very
time.
good.
Looking for a good time. Okay, so it's an advert, if anything, for Matt.
I added
He's
that. I added
looking
that
for a
end
good
bit,
time.
I'll be honest. But
And that's fine. I'm sure he is looking for a good time. Who isn't?
true. But I really like that fingal. And that got me going
Yeah, it was
for
good.
today.
It was very, very personalised towards us.
Good voice as well.
hmm
Brilliant voice, yeah.
The Welsh are good at singing. I was talking about this the other day. They, you know,
Or Daff. I mean, great
Yeah.
example. Daff at the
Yeah.
office. Beautiful voice.
What do you think
I
that
mean,
is?
why don't you kiss him?
I would if I could. COVID.
COVID. Can't do that. I cancelled my Centre Parks holiday because of COVID.
No.
Oh,
Livid.
mate.
Absolutely
Bloody
livid.
hell.
Why would COVID do that to me, personally? I
I
booked
think
it
it personally did.
way
When
back
did you
in
book it?
March when lockdown happened.
You were like, fuck
Oh,
this,
it's
I'm
just-
booking a holiday.
Well, I thought, like...
Also,
that
just
was-
like, I guess, yeah.
I had the idea that by then it would be better, and now it's
You
not.
think it'd be gone like a miracle? Just be gone.
Exactly. Like Trump said. He said, it's just going to
Yeah,
go.
no.
Anyway,
We'll just go
One
away.
day, just wow.
just disappear. And
I
then
think a
before
lot
you
of
know
people
it-
thought it was just going to
got it.
disappear like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought 4 months, give it a couple months, sure, that's all you need,
Yeah.
and then you're back to work. But here we are.
Actually, I had an idea.
Forgot
Like, I
I'm
understand.
not counting anymore.
No, me neither. Me neither. Well, as in terms of like how
Days.
many days we've been in lockdown or whatever. Yeah.
really calculate.
Yeah, no, I've kind of stopped as well. Like, I was thinking about like, the whole like want for the outdoors and stuff, especially like us living in a city Trott lives in a house now, but like in flats, especially like you do crave, well, I do anyway, the need to be outside for a bit and like amongst nature is always quite good for your head, I think.
Yeah.
I was thinking we should. So I think I briefly mentioned this to you guys via text message about. It might have been a different thing, but I want to do a thing where like us four, as in with Craig to film it, like go like somewhere legally and out the way. Like I don't know about Wales right now because Wales is in lockdown, but Wales is an obvious choice because it's big open mountains and stuff. Basically, we go on a 2-day trip where we have like our backpacks with a little tent in it and like food and a fire and stuff, and we just film like a couple of days of us just walking around some mountains, like pretending that we're in Lord of the Rings. I started playing with it a bit more, and I was like, shit, could we wear like cloaks like we're in Lord of the Rings? And I was like, nah, hiking in a cloak is going to be horrible. Like,
Oh,
not as
Aragorn
fun,
did it.
especially if it starts pissing it down.
yeah.
What about Gimli
so,
and Legolas? They wore cloaks.
Yeah, you
Did
really
Gimli
emphasize
have
the
a
end of
cloak?
Legolas then.
I guess
He
he
had
did.
a cape at least, didn't he?
Did he have a cape?
Sorry,
I
did.
don't know if Gimli had a cape, and now I'm
Fucking...
Gimli wore a
Well,
cloak.
sure
at
of
certain
everything.
points, definitely. I think they all did. But yeah, Gimli wore a cloak at certain points.
If
They had
he
to cut
can,
the
we
bottom
can.
off, obviously.
he did.
More of a shoulder cloak for most people. But yeah, like I think that could be fun, and it could be like quite good for us to like go. And,
We should theme it up though. I think that's a funny idea.
yeah. Or maybe
I like
we
that.
like take certain food stuffs with us. Like you all choose like what you want to take, or like each take
Right.
like a special item. That's like special to us for some reason. And like some of us can be like, oh yeah, I bought this like camping stove, and it's like we can all eat. And then another person can be like, oh, I bought this pair of socks, and you're like, fuck you.
Wow.
Brilliant. Thank you. You're gonna be
Cool. Well, that'll
Eat
last
the
you a day.
socks.
I was even thinking about how can we get the 7-meter bell tent onto the top of a mountain.
Oh
Like,
my
imagine,
God. That's
like-
huge,
So
isn't it? It's
heavy.
massive.
So we'd split it up between the four of us, each carrying a bit on their pack as well as their other stuff. But I mean, imagine how good that would look if we got the drone up and we'd managed to get to this like big hill in the middle of nowhere, and we've just got this fucking gigantic 7-meter bell tent just on the top of it. like that'd be
I think
great.
it'd be an achievement to get it up would be amazing.
Yeah.
because I imagine it'd blow
Yeah, in
away
those
quite
winds
quickly, right?
on
Yeah.
top of a mountain.
Yeah.
Imagine if the whole thing just gets fucking lifted by the wind.
Well, that'd be the excitement, right? So you get the camera out as we all go outside in the middle of the night with hammers, trying to get the pegs back in desperately.
Quick!
Hoping
The
our
wind's
home
picking up!
and then the wind just blows the thing off the side of the mountain and we all freeze to death.
Oh, it's a huge
Brilliant.
parachute. Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
We ride it down.
That would be a great
yeah.
visual, but
And
we
it- and
would
it is-
lose hundreds of pounds of 7-hit bell
Yeah.
tent.
Yeah. Wrapped around a
Shotgun,
cow somewhere.
Yeah, shotgun cutting open Craig and sleeping inside him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You think there's enough
Yeah,
space?
yeah.
Yeah, there won't be enough
This is-
space, but
If you were smaller,
it'll be in
maybe.
vain. It will be in vain.
But you'll still cut them
But-
open.
Yeah. Craig, if you're
Nice.
listening, you won't be listening.
Mhm.
But that's going to happen. Sorry, Craig.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's an idea. I think
That could be
we
good.
should
I think
do.
that could be good.
I would-
And
I wouldn't want to do it in
we've done
this
similar
weather.
stuff before. No, not necessarily. But we did the RV thing, which is, if anything, just a high-tech version of that. But we
lot more
light our own
comfortable.
fires with sticks and
Well, yeah.
do Bear Grylls and drink our own piss.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to try
definitely.
my own piss. And then
You
we
need
can
an
swap
excuse,
and
right?
test flavors. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, that's pineapple.
Wow.
The thing is
What have you
about
been drinking?
like, what did you say before this about sticks? Right. So I thought about this as well. I was like,
Yeah.
we could like cook our own stuff on campfires and things like that. And I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
none of the wood, because it's been raining and it's Wales, none of the wood will burn. It'll all be terrible
I'll
damp. So
bring a
we'd have to
hairdryer.
carry our own wood up with us as
Yeah.
well, which I was like, yeah, legit. Let's
Which
carry
is
our own
fucking
wood. Again,
not fun.
heavy. Yeah, heavy and uncomfortable to carry.
What
But
if...
yeah, that's the thing. That's how there's a challenge. We'd have to work out how to do all that.
Yeah, and like...
Take a wheelbarrow?
we just... What if... Well, you could take a wheelbarrow, but what if
Donkey
our
Craig?
clothes... What if our clothes were made of wood, and therefore we strip down our clothing, wood clothing,
Yeah. Like
And
a
burn
samurai.
it.
for heat, and then
Yeah.
as soon as the embers blow out, just shiver endlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're
So-
next
so
to a fire
Historically accurate,
for a little bit.
artisan-made samurai like armor that we wear up the hill. Then we slowly take it off piece by piece to burn it to keep us warm.
Mm.
Right?
Amazing. Then we're naked by the top, but with a
Well, I
roaring
don't think
fire.
samurais wore only wood armor, but yeah, naked.
Or you could
I
Wood
don't think they wore
underwear.
the battle
Water
clad
on the-
only in wood.
we could boil water on the fire, create a suit made of hot water bottles, and then we just have to fill it. Our challenge is to fill it up. So we then have to keep boiling water to keep ourselves at a certain temperature. I mean, if anything,
So it's,
that
it's
sounds
water
very
heating
complex.
instead
And
of
actually,
water
if anything,
cooling.
might be heavier than the other idea. So
Mm.
yeah, we need to think about it. But
What about
I can see
thermals
happening. I can see something happening.
and like a gas stove?
Yeah, I mean,
and
we could
modern
clothe
technologies.
ourselves appropriately. Yes, John.
Yeah.
yeah. We could
have
just
some,
wear
yeah.
clothes.
What about hiking equipment? That kind of thing.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
It's almost like there's an
Maybe.
entire industry designed around this problem.
Can we take?
Wait, so-
Even though we're not going to go that high, can we take oxygen tanks anyway? Just
Can
for the
you,
like the feel of it. The feel of it. Let's simulate we're going up Everest or something.
It's a good
Well,
feeling.
we could create like I was thinking about this and I was like, yeah, if we wanted
Get
to
a
haul
Sherpa.
up like firewood and stuff like that, we could create like a little trolley that we drag behind us, like an all-terrain trolley.
Oh, okay.
Like, as in like
Yep.
just put some wheels on it, have a grid that then you just like attach to your backpack and just drag up the hill like it's a snow ski,
Yeah.
like a snow sled. But
So it's got rugged
it's not.
tires on it.
yeah, exactly.
What if we got
Just-
like a helicopter and just landed on top, put up the tent, and then left
That's a
again?
good point.
I mean, that is totally an option. I don't know whether you need to get
I think that's
airspace.
expensive.
Like,
But we could do
yeah,
it.
you're probably looking at like 500 quid to get us up the top of a mountain on a helicopter.
What's the load of the average DJI Phantom?
Oh, fucking barely anything.
minimal.
Like
How many drones would it take to lift a
Um,
human?
hundreds.
Can you imagine?
Wait,
Up, but with
didn't
drones.
didn't Casey Neistat get lifted by a giant drone
Mm-hmm.
when he was
the
doing
skiing
like
There
one.
is
snowboarding
huge
stuff?
ones.
The skiing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they are out there, but they're incredibly
possible.
dangerous. Like,
What
as
if we
in
crowdsourced
the lawnmower
everyone's
in the
drones?
sky.
Yeah. So you know you would be the one who'd have to test it because you're lighter than us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Honestly,
you
Trott,
have
that-
to be the test guy.
That's a super
Stuntman.
interesting idea because you
Everyone
could
up!
if you had open source drones. I don't think the DJI drones would allow you to hack them that easily, but if you had some of the more like, you know, open source build your own drones, you could legit build some sort of code that would allow them to all work
All
in a
of them to
swarm
activate.
and lift you together.
yeah.
Like, that is feasible.
Like those futuristic like light shows they do
Yeah.
with those synchronized drones.
Yeah, the drone
That's
light
really
shows.
cool
That's pretty. They look good, I think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show
I think
one
the problem will
for
the
the
problem will
visual.
come, Trot, is the fact that like you'd have to have them fairly wide apart, and the ones on the outside would have more of a trouble lifting you without being dragged into the middle. If you know what I
yeah.
mean. Like, imagine a
I
line
reckon
like
you
that.
should. You could David Blaine it, and we could get the helium balloons out and up it. You know, get the up.
Hard to land on the
That's
right
probably
spot,
the
but
easiest way.
Hard to
Yeah.
land on the right spot, of course, but we could get some large fans on you, and then blow you in the right direction. I imagine that would work perfectly, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Imagine that sphere.
This is so
We're seeing
cool.
a
God,
sphere
that looks
of
nuts.
drones, by the
Yeah,
way,
right. I haven't seen
But
this
I'm
before.
in
It's
the
currently
middle.
a drone flights. They look insane.
suspended by about 1,000 strings.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to say, drones already beat fireworks for me. I mean, it's way more memorable. Look at that. I mean, there's insane
Yeah.
like displays, like
It's
it's
so
literally
cool.
showing an LCD display worth of lights. I think
Text.
it's
They
pretty good.
can
Yeah.
organize
Holy
it to
shit,
text.
definitely.
They had a walking man.
Oh shit! Two hit each
Incredible.
other. Go back on the video. Go back on the video a little bit. Okay, right.
you
Wait
have
for
to
it.
wonder
It's
also,
right
like-
towards the end. See that one?
Oh
ping
yeah,
off?
that one.
Now watch it try and get back in. Hits
Oh,
another
then it
drone.
pinged that
Knocks
one.
that drone. Yeah.
Oh fuck!
Well, this is it. This is
Get back!
you're seeing the cracks already. I mean, you could possibly
Shanghai looks
literally.
amazing.
Is that over like a body of water?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because
it was. Yeah.
that many drones, you're going to get a few dropouts. And
Imagine
a
the
few people are
sound.
going to have headaches in the morning or die, depending
Yeah.
on
Hell of a
how
noise.
heavy it was.
Like, yeah, that's the problem with drones. They're still just loud as fuck, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. They're just there.
In those numbers, they could be militarized quite easily, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
we've all
definitely.
seen.
Like if a
Terminator
swarm of
Salvation.
angry drones armed with small like weapons,
Just a hand grenade.
that's terrifying.
just
Just
small
even though just a
charge
drop,
is-
just a
Yeah.
Well, the scary
Drop
part
a
is, Ross, they wouldn't be angry. They'd be completely devoid of all emotion,
Of course,
slaughtering
that's it.
thousands.
yeah. Well, there's a
have
guy
no
like,
remorse.
simulating Call of Duty on his controller behind them. Just get them all. Yeah, got
we need
another
to
one.
get down. We need to get back down the clay pigeon and get some practice in.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when the drones come, it's the clay pigeon pros that everyone
Yeah.
will look to.
A
Finally.
bunch of old
My
middle-class
hobby.
white men come out with shotguns. Righto.
We know what to do here.
Yeah, they'll
Why
do a
you
good
all
job
sound
of
like you're so in pain when you speak?
That's not right. I've lived a very rich life. Painful
Steak
living
and eggs
this
for
rich.
breakfast. Yes.
So much blood in my face all the time.
Constantly trying to keep down a breakfast of whiskey, steak, eggs, and fried bread.
With such
Tough
clogged
balance.
arteries. Bloated. Has anyone got an antacid? Whiskey. Whiskey now.
Steady
Pleasant
my
hunt it
aim.
is.
So
But that's
just
actually a
before,
good idea, I think.
just before the podcast, related to drones and whiskey and clay pigeon shooting, 3D puzzles. I just recalled that because we were talking about magazines from your childhood, like the T-Rex
Yeah.
one. They used to get the skeleton.
The
of
T-Rex one is
get
like
piece
the
by
iconic
piece.
one.
Yeah.
And what we mean by that is it was basically the skull of a T-Rex. In the first edition was 99p. Every other edition's 10.99, and then you somehow get locked into a system of paying like 200 quid for a
It's
model
fucking
dinosaur.
genius.
Which is such a slow burn that you get like a third way of the way through and you realise what the fuck am I doing?
Especially as a child,
okay,
where your
we're not
attention span is
ordering
like nothing.
Yeah, and obviously this was before the internet, really. So yeah, it was very old tech. And who buys magazines anymore anyway? So yeah, but
I
did
can see
you
the appeal.
complete it, Trot? You say,
No,
you
I
completed
didn't,
the
no.
T-Rex?
But do you remember that? you
That
had
thing,
the
that fucker glowed in the dark, man.
3D
That's
glasses.
high tech. 3D glasses, yes, I had those. Shit, man.
Bumper fun
That's a-
book.
Just
Look
a
how
dinosaur
like
book with 3D
stimulating
glasses.
that color design is, though. Like I
cool,
like
isn't
that.
it?
Like that's a very like loud, but also almost like classic comic kind of coloration.
We're looking at a
bright
pile
red,
of
a load of
the
dinosaurs with
magazines.
no feathers. None of those dinosaurs have
£1.60.
feathers on them.
Well, see,
£1.60.
this is the thing, Ross,
Okay.
with the feathers and dinosaurs.
Throw
It's
some facts my way.
likely, much like I can't remember what, but animals in general, they could have had feathers at birth, and then as
Right.
they
They shed
grew
them.
up, they shed their feathers because they're too big for them and they don't need it anymore to like retain their heat.
That is insane.
Yeah, but
Can
it's
we
just
just
like
take a moment? Can we take a moment to
Vestigial.
consider the physiology of the bottom half of those glasses? Look at
what,
that
the T-Rex.
box. Like his little tiny short legs and his big fat tail. Like
So it's a T-Rex
anatomically,
turned into
this
glasses.
guy doesn't make much sense in terms of.
No,
Yeah,
it doesn't.
they've turned some sort of dinosaur. I wouldn't say that's a T-Rex. That might be something else. Looking at the shape of its head, that
But
isn't.
it's a. Maybe not, but he has tiny arms. He has the traditional
It's in
tiny
the same
arms. of a
family.
T-Rex.
It's in the same family.
Maybe that's not a real
Yeah.
dinosaur. I guess that's probably not a real dinosaur.
I don't think they're
Probably
anatomically
not,
accurate. No, I think they want you to put on these T-Rex 3D glasses and look at the cool visuals. I don't think kids are going to be like, "That's not quite the right shape for a T-Rex face."
Well, Chris Trott, you clearly weren't into dinosaurs as much as I was.
I fucking was, son. I fucking
Well, then
was.
you should have been more critical of this sham of a dinosaur they tried to sell us
As
for
an adult, yes.
£1.60.
I can't believe it. I'm livid. But yeah, I was super into dinosaurs. Do you remember going to like the dinosaur museums and getting like a cast of an actual fossilized skin of a dinosaur?
Oh, right,
But
yeah.
all you got was like the clay version of that. And I
Yeah.
took it home thinking like, oh my god, this has touched real dinosaur skin at some
I mean,
point.
yeah,
Yeah.
Like a crayon
pretty
rubbing,
cool.
but yeah.
Yeah.
I can
I
see
guess
the
so.
excitement. I mean,
That-
even if you
that-
had like a freaking like rubbing of like Abe Lincoln's face, you know, like that is a big deal. Like, you know, like
Imagine-
I think that is interesting. Like you say, it has been in contact with something that was around millions of years ago and existed, and I think it does give you that sort of like
face cast.
material reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so, yeah. Abe Lincoln, though.
I mean, I don't
Of all
know.
the things, a
I don't
face
know why I said
rubbing of
Abe,
Abe
like-
Lincoln.
You know, like
Imagine having a
a
cast of his
historical
face.
figure.
Oh, wow.
Imagine someone having a vial of the arterial spray that came out of the front of his head when he was shot in the back of the head.
Jesus.
You know, imagine having a vial.
Who's
of that and
collecting
having
that
a
at the
little
time? That's what you really got to wonder.
Entrepreneurs, Ross. That's who.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs.
To be fair, wasn't
Eccentric
it,
Got a vial
collectors.
of that. I'm up for drinking
wasn't it
it.
Kennedy's wife who literally was scooping up the brains from the back of the car as it happened? So maybe she was also putting it into vials because she knew how valuable that would be in the flash of a second.
Yeah, I'm
when it
sure that's
happened.
what was going through her head at the time.
Exactly,
Her husband was
yeah.
getting shot in the
Well, it was
face.
going through his head actually. Just to,
I was going to say the same thing.
I recently watched The Crown up to that point.
Yeah.
Not a spoiler
Oh, have
because
you?
it's real.
Interesting, right?
I thought that
oh, you
was a
mean
really
it's
cool
the historical
episode.
event? Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
really cool. I thought it was really well done. I like that.
Yeah,
Anyway, that's just
sure.
a weird tangent, but
I didn't realize how much JFK was going to really change America, like in terms of the ideas. and-
fix all the problems.
like because of the Simpsons, I instantly thought that, you know, like because the Simpsons riff on his voice a lot with
Yeah.
the mayor, right? Like
Yeah.
his similar sort of
Mayor
accent
Quimby.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, the reality was, like, JFK was trying to push through, like, tons of equality stuff and things like that for America in, you know, years and years ago. Like, it could have really been great, like, what the changes he could have made. And his wife,
However-
of course, was very influential and smart and clever and, like...
People didn't
But
want
no,
that
he got his
change.
brains blown out. Yeah. Shame. Shame.
It's very conspiratorial, isn't it, that whole event? Because a lot of people are
Yeah.
trying to figure out, like, who that guy was connected with, or even if it
Mm-hmm.
was that guy that did it. Why did he do it? I'm pretty sure he
Mm-hmm.
was just a radicalized, extreme person that didn't want change. Ultimately,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think so.
Did you hear about the guy who shot John Lennon recently apologized for it publicly?
Mhm.
Well, not
Sorry.
publicly. I think he was having like some sort of parole hearing and explained how
John
apologetic he
Lennon.
was. I mean, I wonder if is that the first time he's apologized? I'm guessing if it made news.
I think he's
because it
expressed
seems like an odd.
it in the past. Like, it was like,
Yeah.
what, like 30 years ago now? Like, how long ago
Yeah,
was it? It was
yeah,
quite
yeah.
some time. And he's saying
Yeah.
basically he appreciates he's probably never going to get let out, but he feels bad for what he did because
Yeah.
yeah,
It's hard
How
once to
scary
just
is that,
apologise
though?
off, isn't it?
Like,
What's
we
scary?
had
In
no
what
idea.
sense?
Like, it was a guy that at the time just came up and like asked for a signature, right? And then boom, shot him dead.
Yeah, it's like kind of I don't really know the history
Later
of,
on that day.
fandom and extreme acts like that, but it's one of the more
he said he
notable
killed him.
events, right?
He
did
killed
it
him for
glory.
notoriety, is why he
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah.
At the time, he was obsessed with fame, I suppose, and wanted it. I mean, yeah.
When
It's
you
just
think
another
about it, that's
sad
when you think about all the
impact of-
stuff that is on Netflix about like crime stuff. It all like centers around the actual killer, really.
Mm.
So they do.
Mm.
It is glorifying. So if anything,
Mhm.
if you were desperate to achieve levels of fame for some
Where you
reason,
going,
that
Ross?
is probably. Well, no, I'm saying that's what they know that's what
Oh.
gets them the fame. So we shouldn't really.
It's highly
celebrate them.
effective.
Well, it is, but
Absolutely.
I mean, we then say, "Oh, don't mention the killer," but obviously, American sensationalist news will always mention the killers and the kill counts and all that other stuff. And I know
It
they've been a bit
draws in
better
the-
about it recently.
Yeah.
But like
It-
when you see these like kind of epic kind of dramas and stuff being made about them, it's just further glorifying the idea that if you go out on a killing spree or maybe calculated kills or whatever, you will be remembered in history and honored with a fucking Netflix series
Yeah.
or a
Sure.
podcast about you or whatever. But like, it's insane. It's insane. But
Well, this
I
is
guess,
the problem.
it's
This is
the
problem
fascination with the
putting people
macabre.
on pedestals. Yeah, it's a double combination hit of we are morbidly curious as a species.
Yeah.
I think like we like to hear things about because it's
Yeah.
shocking, it's surprising, it's a change from I don't know. We're interested in that shit. And second of all, like you say, it's a result of lifting people up on pedestals to create these like ultimate like ascension of being a human. It's like, wow, that person's nailed being what I am. Like they are rich, they are successful, they're an artist. Like, like there's all this stuff that we're told from the day we're fucking born to lift up and to idolize. And yeah, this is
Ultimately,
a fucking
like,
symptom of that notion.
and in our society, it's monetizable. Like, ultimately, if you
Yeah.
get
Yeah, it is.
killer does this heinous act, everyone's going to want to find out the details. And if you're doing 24-hour news cycles, that's going to be the thing that draws them to your channel versus anyone else's. So, of course, they're going to capitalize on it, on the death of an innocent, essentially, and the glorification of this murder. Whether they seek to do that or not, that person, that notoriety is drawing eyes to their channel and to their magazine or to their products.
Ross, do you want to produce the documentary after I inevitably murder Chris Trott?
I think I'll have more knowledge on it.
Yeah, I think you will. I think you'll be able to
in the
create
background,
like.
so I could certainly work something out. I'll speak to
How
Maybe
would you
you
pitch
should-
it? Would it be like
yeah.
the signs were there, or was it we never saw it coming?
signs were all there. We suspected it could happen, but when it actually happened, we were still shocked. More on this after the news, like that kind of thing. I think we can really build it
he
up over like
said-
maybe at least a 5-part series. Can we stretch it that far?
I think you could.
We'll try to really go in on the family element as well, and go really far back to his childhood, relationship with the father, etc. I think we can certainly get 5, maybe 10 episodes max out of this.
Turns out Smith actually.
So make it a good one. Make it a good one.
Manipulated his brother to do the actual act, and that's season 2 material.
That is, we can stretch. Yeah, we'll find that out later, and then we'll return. Into
He's
the
my
second
Charlie
series.
Kelly.
Great idea.
He's
I think we should have. We should have Ross as like in the whole silhouetted interview
Just like,
scenario, and then saying, "So, what do you think about this
So-
actual moment where?" And it cuts to this moment where Smith's saying, "I'm going to kill Chris Trott, Ross Hornby,"
Yeah.
and then it cuts back
I
to
mean,
you. Surely you saw the signs then.
Yeah, there's got to be thousands of hours now of footage where we could always use from our own archive.
I'm gonna kill him.
That
He's gonna die
says
tomorrow.
this, yeah. that all point towards so before the trial as well, because he's not gonna bow out at the time. He's gonna stick around. And I think we'll pull all that footage together, make a hypercut, maybe add music just for fun.
It wasn't
and
me.
You'll be like, look, he's a killer. Look, this is all. Look at all these things. And like, this is just video game footage. That's nothing. Well, it's like it's all in there. It's all in there.
The signs were
Could've
there at
been
an
all
early
over it.
age when
The signs were
Alex
there.
Smith used to yank Trott's handbrake in traffic to see what he
did.
would do.
He did
Yeah,
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, just the glee you have for all the times tries to like smear weird shit on his face, or like just do an activity that involves him looking either really, really stupid or
it's
hurting
borderline
himself.
psychopathic.
Like
let's be honest.
the flinching one. You loved it when he just literally looked so upset with everything. Fishing
But
out
also,
like
I don't-
things
yeah,
from
I
like
mean,
a
it is
pile, like a
psychopathic,
bowl
to be
of
honest with
beans
you.
getting. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're just cackling away.
I think
laughing
the
at
thing
his
is, right,
misfortune.
I've never done the typical stuff of like, I don't enjoy torturing animals, you know, like things like that. Like as a kid, I was never the person. Like,
Right, yeah.
I knew some in particular. I think Trott knew him as well, but I won't say
Oh my
their name
God.
to start with. But maybe they didn't, and maybe he didn't because it was primary school. Maybe not. But anyway, there was a person I knew that used to do things like put mice under jars full of water and watch them like swim up into the water and they drown, like stuff like that, like real like. Jesus,
God.
that's crazy.
Just like
kind of
that
thing.
is psychopath material, right?
Yeah,
Surely.
yeah.
Is
I
this
didn't do
not-
that. I just enjoy watching human beings like when people throw up. I just can't stop laughing. Like it's weird, but like I just find it really funny. I don't know
You
why.
really. I don't think you've laughed harder
think-
than when you see
Yeah.
someone else in struggling or in pain.
Yeah. It is fun. I mean, it's funny.
Even the
obviously,
idea
but
of
it's
it.
just like when we attached the electric pads to us, and Trott was just like curling around and trying to walk in a straight line, and it was on our legs.
No,
Smith has never laughed harder than that. I don't think Smith has laughed harder than that moment where you were just like curled up on a ball, like saying, "Stop it, stop!"
And he's laughing so hard he can't even push the button to stop it.
Yeah, exactly. So
But
just like
yeah.
inflicting, seeing you in pain in a comedy setting. I imagine
think
if we
so.
did that externally, it would still be a bit funny, but probably not as funny.
I think if
because,
this for real, like my life was in danger or I'm like hanging off the edge of a
Yeah.
cliff, I don't think you'd be rolling on the floor
No.
laughing at that point. Maybe some instinct would kick in, I hope.
You hope so, don't you? I hope so.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
He's really struggling. He's losing
You're right,
his
Trott.
grip.
Moments from death, balancing on the edge, are you? Ooh.
I've never laughed so
Psych.
hard in my life, Trott. Thanks for this.
Yeah.
Dead.
You really made my day. Oh, paying for it.
Well, all the signs are there.
Ah.
And we've got, Netflix, if you're interested. Ross is
Yeah.
up for being a
I can
producer,
certainly
at least.
be an exec producer. We'll get Craig on there as well. Craig will probably have some stories to work with there. And Lewis
Yeah,
as
but
well
any-
is the pusher,
anything
so he could be
Craig
a part. He
says
could be
are-
like a tangent. So
Yeah.
the pusher gets in there as well.
Well, Lewis will probably be on my side, I like to think. Craig,
I think so
anything
too.
he says, I will immediately attack and rubbish as quickly as possible. Oh,
Super
fuck off,
Yeah.
Craig!
Okay. Fuck up Craig, and he'll just
Just try to
he'll be
desperately,
quiet about it,
like,
okay.
discredit him. That's good.
Just by being
So
angry.
he
at him.
doubts himself.
Yeah.
Or maybe I
He's
am
going to
wrong.
gaslight
Yeah,
Craig.
right.
Okay, we got it. He's gaslighting Craig.
Easily gaslit.
And then Craig turns to your side, and then I'm stuck just right
Then
making
Ross
a
is the
documentary
killer.
on my own.
Ross is the
Then I'll be the
This is
killer.
what- This is
Oh
This
my
is what
god.
happens
That's
Among
series
Us,
3. Series
Yeah.
3.
Holy shit.
It was
What
Chris
a
Trott
plot
the whole
twist.
Ross told me the whole time.
Yeah.
This is like Among Us, though, when like you find a body and then by the end of it, the voting happens and you're the one that gets voted out. It's like you're the
Yeah.
same. Like you're in that situation. It's like, yeah, no, I
Yeah.
wanted to make this documentary
Exactly.
about the terrible.
Do you
things he
report it
did.
now?
Yeah, don't report
Right.
it. You might get indicted yourself.
What if season 4
Jesus.
is actually
Okay.
Chris Trott is still alive? I don't know why I'm referring to myself in third person.
Holy shit!
Okay.
This was
You're
actually
in
a
the- you're talking
ploy
about the series,
between
I get it.
Alex Smith and Chris Trott to stop the tyrannical Ross from.
Yeah.
Well, A,
Killing
we can
anyone else.
monetize. We get a
Profiting
piece
from
of
the
the pie.
documentary. I've been written 3 already. One was
We
about
get
me.
we get 2 seasons worth of revenue royalties, and then
yeah.
we put Ross in jail because he's actually like a cold-blooded killer and he really deserves to go down. And he
Yeah, and then
actively
there's a
tried to
series
kill
of
me in season 2.
In jail interviews. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Holy
We've
shit.
got ourselves a series, guys.
And then season
Uh,
5 is
all we
all
do
about
is
me.
call
being
Being a
Netflix up and-
murderer.
Yeah. Netflix will just accept it, right? Surely. I think they
I'm a
think
murderer,
so,
and I'd
yes,
like to
right.
make a documentary about my life. Honestly, I mean,
Sold.
it would be hard for them to say no to that. That's quite a unique premise. A person,
And I know
admitting
they
to being
know
a
that that's
killer-
their bread and butter. That is recent. I mean,
Yeah.
ever since Making a Murderer, that's what they've been desperately trying to find again.
Yeah.
Mm. True. All right.
Well, I guess they got that a little bit with the Tiger documentary.
Oh,
That was
Tiger
kind
King,
of a
yeah,
similar
that was the
vibe.
last
Yeah,
big
Tiger
one.
King had that.
Yeah.
And we
Not
can
sure what
always,
else to
like,
say.
crazy enough, we can lie a lot and get away with it.
We have,
Yes, you're
we
right.
have that
actually,
capability.
And
I feel like we've built up a
dramatize.
lot of credit,
Yeah.
but not like
You don't
kind
actually
of
have
methods,
to
but
be truthful anymore. You just have to be
Yeah.
dramatic. So
And be able to explain to a judge and jury what TTT is as well. Your Honour, he was playing TTT. I'll have to explain this. Okay.
there we go. So
It's a video game.
there's a few roles. Well, depending if there's
What?
mods or anything.
Yeah.
But,
it's a mod of a game. It's a custom game
Yeah.
mode with a mod of a game.
yeah.
Your Honor.
Here's a hypercut of him yelling that he's going to kill Trott.
That's what's interesting, right? This is why I actually enjoyed Tiger King much more. I didn't actually watch all of Making a Murderer because, like, watching Making a Murderer, I'm like, I can believe this all happened because, like, it's first of all, people are out for themselves a lot of the time. So you're like, yeah, of course this could happen. Police, like, they're not only fallible as people as well, but also the process that they have to go through, like, as in all the processes and all of the, like, logging of evidence and everything. It's very convoluted.
It's arduous,
So I was like,
yeah.
I can see how this I'm not surprised almost, you know. I was like, yeah, no, okay, yeah, I can see how that's happened. Like, I think Tiger King was a bit more because there was less due process and it was just like a bunch of fucking hillbillies slinging
Shit
at each
happening
other.
in there.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
no court involved. It's very loose. in
That was more
sense.
like
Just
watching the
craziness.
chaos unfold. Yeah. Like watching a presidential debate, basically. Same
And
sort
they're
of
all
thing.
like kings and queens of their land with people under
Yeah.
them and stuff. It's crazy.
I got 100 tigers at my command, and then somebody else has got like, oh, he can call 200 tigers to his command. I can't take his land. Can you imagine that tiger on tiger combat? And like, that's not
It's
their
just the
accents,
weird, like,
but-
culty behavior as
Yeah.
well. Like that guy, who's the one that's like really thinks huge of himself, like the rival of
the
main
one with the
Tiger
fucking
King.
harem.
Oh,
Yeah,
guy.
oh, when
yeah.
he came.
It's like,
Right,
well,
yeah.
his women that he employs ultimately become his
Yeah, that guy.
family, and like
Yeah.
they have to do things.
Doc
and,
something. Doc Antle.
Doc Antle. Yeah, it's
That was
crazy.
a strange.
It's like they
strange
give him this
situation.
crazy, awesome life of being like a tiger carers and stuff like that. But it also comes with being scantily clad and performery, and it's very strange.
Sex slaves that have to incinerate
Sex slave.
tigers when they are no longer young. Yeah. I wouldn't call it an awesome life. But they did sign up for it, I suppose.
Didn't know what they were getting into. Potentially,
Yeah.
they just want to
What
work
if we
at a zoo.
start our own version of a tiger farm, but instead of lots of little tigers, we're making lots of little trots? And then we crossbreed one trot with another trot to create a liger, which is just a really fucked up trot.
Are you suggesting I inbreed?
it's a lot
You
of work.
artificially inseminate yourself.
How is he? Is he going to be cloned, or is he going to be like? I'm guessing he's going to be a baby, right? So we got to deal with a load of babies, and I don't know if I can be bothered.
I think we should get a woman who's obviously consenting that looks as close to Trot as possible so that when they have kids, it comes out looking a lot like Trot, and then they have a few kids,
Right.
then we breed those kids together to create like a pure Trot, and we selectively
Would it be a
breed
pure Trot?
their
Would it not be
offspring.
more? Would it not be more fucked
It'd
up
be-
because Trot's already been involved in the chain somewhat very close to
That's
the
your
chain, in
definition,
fact.
Ross. Fucked up. You say
Okay.
fucked up, I say purebred. You know, like...
Okay,
Think of Roman lineage, Ross. That was
we're
pure.
going to need to set up an abattoir. Is what I'm saying. We may need to set up
Oh,
a
yeah, we'll
small
have an
abattoir.
incineration block. Charlotte, this
because-
one's come out wrong. We're going to have to chuck this child in the incinerator. Is that all right?
All right, I'll just keep pumping them out, I guess. We'll start again. Start fresh. Now, where's that lookalike Trot? It's weird. You look so similar to me. It's really hard.
What would we do with all the trots? What would we do with all the trots if it was successful? That's the real question.
Make them work the land.
That's it. Just
You know how
do all that, go through
malleable
all
I
that
am.
scientific effort and kind of like
Oh, there's no science
the
involved,
meticulous
Ross.
nature of
No
it.
science.
Well, there's some science involved. I mean, it's pseudoscience, sure. It's home
Yeah.
science.
Home science.
But yeah, like I think there are other ways to do that.
Yeah.
But,
There's other ways
it
to
sounds
live
like
a
you'd be
life,
breaking
you know?
various international codes by doing that.
Would
but
we still
Yeah.
call it Tiger
Big
King?
clone sheep,
Tiger
right?
King 2. Nothing
Trot
to do with
King.
tigers.
Kind of like Rat King,
Trot.
but
Trot Boogaloo.
And the logo for it is a series of small baby trots in a circle, but then their umbilical cords wrap around in the middle and all link. And it's just called Trot King.
Trot King.
Can you imagine,
What if we just? It'd be better if Trot was the actual guy in charge of it and came up with the idea of it, because that would be more fucked up. Because then he's basically making an empire of Trots. And
I want more of me.
A small
I want to create
small
the
school
purest
of
me.
Trots.
The
Purest
regular way of
He will
reproduction.
be my successor.
Yeah. I don't want just my son or my daughter. I want me again. And that's where it
I
started.
want another me.
A true heir. 99%
True
genetically
heir.
identical.
Yeah.
I don't want 50%, 100%. And I will
We could
do what it takes.
selectively breed trots, so your descendants don't have to bleach their hair yellow, brought blonde.
Yeah.
They would actually be blonde. So
Yeah.
you'd save them a
Think of
job
all
there.
You can fuck with the DNA a bit, probably.
Yeah, I
Probably.
imagine so. We'll start splicing.
Put the baby in a
spice-
microwave
spice
for a
some-
bit.
Do you think
Yeah.
that's it? Do you think that's all you need? Sounds scientific. It'll all just end up leading to Trot wanting to do his own home brain transfusion from old Trot to young Trot,
I like
so that you
this
basically have
body.
the exact
Finally,
same body,
We've reached this
essentially,
peak
and then you
trot
can
here.
then place your memories and brain physically into another shell of you,
Yeah,
and that's going to happen. Science.
that's the dream.
Easy.
There is to just. I've been breeding myself to try and find a replacement body.
Yeah.
That's
You
what
may
it
need to
comes
keep a lot of
down
that
to.
on the down low, just saying, because
And
I
then
think
he's going to transfer his
some in
consciousness.
society may frown upon it, but
Oh, that's really
I
dark. That'd be a
achieved my
great
goals.
sci-fi plot. So you raise a child to then wipe their memory and then transfer your consciousness into their body. And so there's this dark kind of once they hit 16 or whatever, that's the moment. It's almost like a Handmaid's Tale kind of scenario where
Monday
you're raising them
Frankenstein.
up on your cult. Yeah, but then what you're really doing is raising them to be a vessel for your consciousness. And it turns out this has been going on for hundreds of years. And you were a Nazi scientist at one point, and that's what
Right.
helped you
A fucking
drive
Nazi.
it forward.
I think
Well.
with a lot of things you're doing there, Trot, Nazi will come up several times. I'm afraid.
Why?
It just will. It just will. It just will. I mean,
Fuck's sake.
one realistic way of doing it, however, you could potentially Trot could permanently have a camera live streaming into some VR goggles that all these kids are wearing. So his current memories and stuff are being streamed directly to these smaller Trot's brains,
And
as
all
they're
my
seeing
voluntary
everything.
thoughts. I want
Well,
them
I
to-
mean,
I want them to feel
everything
them
needs to be
too.
said. Okay, I don't know how to transfer that one, but
Some wires.
maybe they could also have something that links up to their nervous system, where they can feel what you're feeling too. So then, when they finally come out of the system because you unlock them because you're about to die, you are then reborn, and your empire
Plato's
continues.
Cave, but
Okay.
VR.
So that's a series on Netflix, isn't it? Surely we can make that one.
But then
Sounds
around the
great.
Another
compound,
one, bam.
right at the end, final season, the curtains around the huge stage curtains around the huge compound you've been living in just come up, and you realise it's all been filmed, and you're just in a.
Oh
Truman
no! I
show.
got Truman. Oh, shit.
Netflix's biggest series ever.
I was literally just a TV show. Fuck! I'm so
amazing.
fucked up, and you all saw
Yeah.
it.
And yeah, everyone witnessed every weird thing you did ever.
Fuck! I went
involving
full-blown
the
Nazi
butchering
in
of
there, guys.
Various Trots. Yeah.
Shit! Oh no!
Don't worry,
Can I get some
we've done
royalties?
6 more of these all around the world, and trust me, 5 out of 6 went Nazi. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
Or it's the other way around. It's like everyone else led very normal lives. You went really fucking dark, dude.
Yeah.
We went off the deep end. We had to stop
Holy
it.
shit.
Pull the plug.
It's the biggest social experiment Netflix ever pulls. They basically just randomly choose 10 people, give them a lottery worth of winnings, and then just send them out to various islands. And this is what happened to yours. You just absolutely destroy it with Nazism and cloning and just a massive just empire created by quite frankly very, very weird ways.
What if it's like a global Twitch plays Trot, but you literally have voting mechanics on every aspect of my life? It's like, should we start nudging him towards Nazi, white supremacy stuff, or should we swing towards more My Little Pony? Or what do you reckon this week, guys?
Yeah.
Let's
And everyone
make it
just
religious.
makes me them.
Chris Trott
Yeah.
becomes a devout Catholic for season 2.
Yeah.
He's got the fucking
just
rosary
born again.
beads and-
Can we bring him back from the brink?
This is basically the Kardashians, but with interesting things happening instead of just rich idiots.
Yeah. Also, it's quite poisonous, but it'd be very interesting to watch.
It's questionable,
like the Kardashians
isn't it?
and that, but I suppose
Yeah,
it's like
true.
Kardashians.
Also, yeah.
Can we drive Trott to eat his own arm? Find out in season 6.
Season 6.
So he's got a fingernail.
It's all dressed nicely like a ham. Like, that looks delicious.
It's like the
they just do 127 hours, but in perfect conditions where it cooks nicely, and he cuts it off and it just falls off the bone. He's like, "Wow, I've got to eat this now. I'm stuck here."
It'd be a waste not to. What are you gonna do with it otherwise?
like...
Chuck your arm away?
We did it. He's eating his arm. Yeah, anything's possible.
The ratings are through the roof right now. Holy shit! There's no coming back from this though.
Little advert scrolls on the bottom of the screen. Come home to Chris Trott's tasty arm.
Get a piece of Trott. Straight off the bone.
You can match the shit out of it. Yeah.
You could.
There'll be people watching with Trott wigs on. They'll have Trott wigs on. They'll be waving the Trott flag. They'll be cutting their arms off.
They will.
That's how far they'll get into it. The cult of Trott will grow, and they'll all try and go to that island for tourism.
And you know what? I'll be so famous. There'll be like John Lennon's killer. There'll be someone out there.
Yeah.
The people are saying that I'm cutting my arm off. I've cut my arm off like Trott, and people say it's a fad. But honestly, I think I'm going to be into it for life.
I have to be, really.
I have to be. One arm life for me.
I've made my peace. I love Trott.
I've spliced some of Randy's DNA into your latest offspring. They kind of come out with really fat tails.
What do we do with all the like purebloods that I've created in this Truman Show environment? Do we drown them? Or?
This is the sad part. Yeah, I think it's a drowning.
Hessian bag.
Whack them in a sack. Whack them in a sack and take them out to the sea and just explain.
What I don't understand
You don't need to explain anything. So most of them don't really understand a lot of.
Not to a newborn. That's the beauty of newborns. No. You have to explain shit. Put a few rocks in a bag.
Very dark.
Put a newborn in there.
Sad.
In you go.
I guess that's like this is a very dark conversation, obviously, but drowning stuff in bags, like kittens that you didn't want or whatever. What is that psychology there? Like what?
I don't know.
What gets
I know
you to that
somebody
point?
I think it was in Madagascar. My ex-girlfriend went there for like a couple of weeks of doing some research, and apparently they had a load of kittens, but they get like quite feral and stuff, and they can be a pest essentially. And some guy had to take them out to the sea in a Hessian sack. It's like the worst thing ever. And I was like, my God! And she loved cats as well. And that was the worst part. She was just like, it was horrible to bear. But yeah, like they said, there's nothing really they can do for them because they would just be wild and then like fuck up a load of other stuff.
It seems like that's really like a horrible way to kill animals. Like what about an
it's easy. It's an easy
I don't
way.
know.
Cheap way. Like what you gotta remember. I don't think you guys are naive enough to not see this, so it's not really a lecture against you guys. The amount we love animals is a direct result of our investment in them. There are plenty of people that have grown up in plenty of countries where cats and dogs are fucking everywhere because they're stray as fuck and their country, they can happily live outside their whole lives. Like they're covered in fleas, they're feral, they're probably ill as well. Like we see cats as like this lovely little furry companion, this interesting animal and all that sort of stuff. But the reality is that's only because we've decided to think of them that way. Like, of course,
We're also able
would
to
find
look
it
after
incredibly hard to drown a cat. Like I would find that horrible. But I know that's really only a product of my own empathy. And it's the same thing with newborns. Like all these things, like we are perfectly capable of killing things without guilt. Like all of those feelings that come after are what we impose on ourselves to make us feel, to make us functional, sociable animals, really. You've got to feel, you've got to be empathetic in order to survive. But yeah, the reality is it's easy to kill cats in a bag. Just got to have the right mindset. If somebody told you, Trott, that those cats were going to end up killing your whole family, you probably would quite easily make a decision to, I'm going to fucking drown those cats.
They were Hitler cats. If they were Hitler cats,
I don't think it'd be any easier. I think the process of doing it would still be just as harrowing.
Yeah.
You think so?
Well, it's like eating for survival or like killing for survival, right? It would be extremely hard to do if that was the only option. You would do it. you probably
Yeah.
would. You'd rather survive.
You don't
than-
have to
than
take
just-
pride in it. You don't have to enjoy it, but to simply do it is possible. I think.
It wouldn't be devoid of
But,
emotion,
like,
that's for sure.
I guess there is also something to be said about the like random nature of what they eat and like various like what happens with the Wuhan market, wet market, and all the variety of random things they were eating, which were causing diseases and shit. Like that might be just unnecessary in some cases, like eating random bats and vermin and stuff they find. Like that might not be necessary, so to speak. It's more just a case of let's just grab it and kill it and eat it, and then
Yeah, exactly.
other
But
shit
and
happens.
Exactly.
Cheap
This
and
is it.
efficient.
Like, it is a luxury to feel. It is a luxury to be good, to be nice, to be, like you say, these wet
I think
markets
it's
are just horrific.
advantageous, though. It's advantageous.
I think it is. On the whole, of course, I would agree with that. Like, not only because using and wasting and eating nature and the organism that is our planet, you have to be responsible with it, for sure. But, the amount of chicken that we've eaten from KFC has already given us far more of a moral implication than, even hitting a fucking dog with your car on purpose. Like, the amount of chicken that you've eaten and the way that chicken has lived and died is horrible. And to think that, to have the audacity to think that we are really moral or, ethical is a bit much, isn't it? Really.
Just
I'm
turn a
not
blind eye
saying
to it.
exactly. So, and to say, we are perfectly capable of doing that. We are perfectly capable of not feeling for animals and things like that. It's very much something you put on yourself, I think. But of course, it's advantageous to care for things. It's advantageous to care for nature. It's advantageous to not drive yourself crazy by killing things. I guess. Like,
I think what would be really good. I mean, the ideal situation would be lab-grown meat. I think personally, because I don't think if it came to it, I could never work in an abattoir. I could never literally like kill an animal. I don't think for food when there's vegetables around. If they could grow lab-grown meat, they'd solve so many issues, especially with the current like climate crisis and shit like that. But it's going to take a long time, I guess, for that to really
I wonder if there's
mainstream.
a way to like shift diet on a societal level. So you start with lab-grown meat, and you slowly transition them back to plant-based, without the need for like having something that used to taste like meat to something that's just sustainable and doesn't mimic anything anymore.
Yeah.
So I feel like lab-grown meat is just a transition point. It's just like we're trying to mimic this thing that we're addicted to.
It's getting that taste that people already enjoy and will be obviously stubborn to the point of killing an animal to eat it. Like if you could avoid that and replace it entirely, then you've solved a pretty massive issue that's causing all this other shit happening in the world.
For now, but what I'm saying is generations growing up purely on lab-grown meat never had real meat in their lives. If you just do that on a generational basis, slowly reducing that connection with meat, making it less look like meat and taste like meat, and towards this is the source, it's plants. I think we can adapt a whole society to not care about having meat anymore, not looking like meat or tasting like it.
But Trott, the only curriculum update this political party is doing is making us more nationalist by talking about introducing civic education, which encourages people to be proud of Britain, which is completely the other way of what you're suggesting. I agree.
Is that
like
true?
curriculum and changing. Yeah. So both Bojo and Donald Trump have suggested similar things. They want Boris Johnson and his party want to introduce almost like a British pride, British education module into the curriculum of students. So when we did personal development at secondary school, where they talk about, very mildly by the way, they don't talk about the things you actually need to fucking know about, but they talk about a few things about like the role of voting and things like that, useful. But they're talking about one-upping it and talking about like British pride and shit like that, and it's just like the most fucking backwards thing in the world. It's fine to be proud of your country if you like, but to the whole idea, I think, is to create more unity within our country, right? So it's like we need something to rally. We need something to rally around, because we are very. We've never had so much disunity of educated and equal people as well, which is like, typically when we had sort of a feudal system in Britain where the lords were the only ones that could vote on policy changes, right? Eventually, the peasantry and the common man started talking about, no, this isn't right. Why should the lords be the only ones making, like hereditary lords be making our decisions, right? So that was a bit of disunity there, and eventually everybody got the vote. Now what's happening again now is we have disunity, but instead of like it's the lords and the peasantry, instead we have people of vaguely similar education, vaguely similar opportunities, yet we still have a lot of disunity in our country and in the States and, you know, like places like that. This is a big moment for that. And so I think that the strategy here is they're like, okay, we'll bring in sort of patriotism as a way to draw everybody back together and create unity within our country, which makes sense from a country stability point of view, which is important. The problem is with patriotism and nationalism as a concept for a person who lives within a specific country, is whilst it might bring those people together within that country, it also creates an other of everyone outside of that country, right? So like think about this. So it's like, yeah, I'm British, it's great to be British. Yeah, it's great to be British. Yeah, it's cool. I love it. Yeah, we've got this history, we've got the empire and all that sort of bollocks. But what it means is as soon as somebody from outside of that patriotic sphere comes in, you're like, well, hold on, you're not British. You don't own Britain. It creates this ownership of an idea, which is completely unhelpful. Like
it's isolationist, you know.
Exact. Tribalism is the fucking enemy, and I mean that. So like, this is the biggest challenge that we face, like as a species. We need to stop fucking thinking about ourselves as Britain, as this, as that. The walls go up. You know, the isolationism doesn't work beyond serving a very few people in a small area. Like climate change is a global problem, you know, like racism is a global problem. Like we really need to change what we think of as patriotism, as being proud. I don't think that you should be proud of a geographic place you were born. You had the fucking luck. We had the luck to be born white, straight, English, you know, like it's all just a roll of the cosmic dice, and it makes no sense to be proud of the land you were born. Be proud of your achievements, be proud of what your society has achieved, progressed, and all those sort of things. But the idea of Britishness and British people, like, just makes no sense in the modern world. It simply doesn't.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Especially when we accept multiculturalism. I mean, we accept it. So like, why can't we embrace it rather than push it further away by those statements?
By creating this nationalist education.
Because I'm pretty sure that I saw, I'm not sure if it was America or Us, where they said they weren't funding or they refused to accept cultural sensitivity training in businesses. I think it was America, where they basically said that's no longer a thing. Where it's just like, that seems so insane to take that away. It's just like, it's literally, sensitive is in the word, and you just remove that kind of thing. So basically you've told people to not be sensitive towards other people's cultures, which is kind of just so ignorant and quite upsetting to see in 2020, really. But after, you know, that crazy debate the other day, who the fuck knows what's going on? I mean, how many people are in America? Those are the two people you get to choose from. It's a bit unfortunate, really, isn't it? I'm kind of really glad that we're not American for that reason. Although it does affect everyone on a global sense. It's even more so if you live in America. I feel like it's so destabilized right now. It's just
and Bojo's playing from the same fucking playbook. This is the thing, like the same strategies, same. Like,
it works. It's working.
Same amount of lack of information, like more like standing on feeling and emotion rather than like policy direction and plans. You know, like Britain now has the highest amount of COVID cases daily than it's ever had, and Bojo's had fucking a whole year to deal with this now, and like, but
you know, we're getting
say,
Fox News, right?
Sorry,
or GB News is called. We're getting a Fox News style channel called GB News, which will be doing exactly what Fox News does, where they just sensationalize everything. Yeah, and it's just unfortunate that we've all lost trust in everything, because you can't believe anything you read now.
Watched a really great documentary that I would recommend by a person called Grayson Perry, who is an artist and a documentary maker and basically like a social commentator. Really interesting. And they went and looked at the liberal elites of America, which I think is really particularly interesting to us because we've interacted with a lot of people like that. We've moved around in that world of, you know, the kind of people that shop at Whole Foods every day, that have a nice life, that work at like almost hipstery, like I will say in principle these are great things. So for example, they covered a co-op in a particularly affluent area of New York. So a co-op, as in you have to be a member, you have to work there a few hours a week, but it's like a farmer's co-op. So they buy everything locally. Again, great, reduces pollution, funds local farmers, make sure that the food being produced by an area feeds a relative amount of people. There's all sorts of good reasons for it. But they are all educated. They're all fairly rich. So every person in there, one guy was an architect, one person was a doctor. These are all like, rich middle class people, and they've created these wonderful little communities of like self-sustainability and progressive thought and all that sort of stuff, but they completely ignore what's going on outside of that sphere, and that's creating its own problem of I for one, definitely, when like changes started coming to our country, when Brexit happened, for example, it's like I think the middle class, the sort of liberal middle class, we kind of got used to things going vaguely the way they liked it, because it's like, oh, of course, like this is, we should recycle, of course we should do this, these are like, progressive ideas that like make sense. And then as soon as people stop listening to all the other things that are going outside of their sphere, that starts to gain traction. That sort of almost forms a faction of change. And I think that they were shocked, like as I was when Brexit happened. I was like, holy shit, okay, what is this country doing? So Grayson Perry, I think it's called American Road Trip or whatever, but really, really worth a watch. Really examining it, because he's, liberal, middle class sort of thing, but he actively examines it, and it's really important of like, holy shit, we need to wake up. We need to stop presuming that our country is going to unfuck itself, and we need to stop going like, well, I'm having a great life. Like, I've got a nice house. I can afford groceries every week. I can look after myself. Like,
you actually made an interesting point the other day on Twitter when you said people are so worried about socialism when it comes to like healthcare, but like you said, they spunk so much money into military, which essentially is saving your country, right? So you're expecting them to help you. Like, why is that much more different than a doctor helping you?
Exactly. That was kind of the point I was trying to make. But like, somebody came up with a good response, which was really nice. There was actually some really interesting, intelligent responses to it. They said that it's about how America views property as the primary thing to protect, not necessarily the health of others.
Right.
It's about
the land.
Maintaining a system, maintaining the land, which allows those laws to maintain their ownership of property. And anything beyond that is not their problem. The army allows the country to stay as it is and stay within its structure and all that sort of stuff. And that's all they really care about. Whilst healthcare doesn't do that. Healthcare doesn't protect property, it protects individuals. And America being an individualistic society, it means that they don't care as much, or don't feel they need to care as much about the health of others in general. I mean, I'm not saying every American thinks like that or whatever, but that was a point they made.
Mentality,
Yeah, which is interesting.
It's weird.
Yeah.
There's so many contradictories. We say, think about healthcare and all that stuff, but also not allowing people to have abortions because that's bad, but treating people like shit and not letting them have healthcare in certain ways. It's so there's so many, there's a myriad of issues all over the place. They're just so confusing. I'm glad we have NHS. I hope we keep the NHS and all that stuff because it's helped. It's helped us. I've used it. I think we've all used it. So fuck.
We don't have to go full socialist for this to work.
No.
This is what's crazy. No. So Papa John's famously did a thing where they didn't want to give all of their employees universal like healthcare, like as in like healthcare for all of their employees, because it meant they would have to increase the price of their pizzas by 17 cents per pizza. Right? That would have been the effective cost to give every single one of their employees health cover to look after them, for them to live long and happy and prosperous lives. And I think most people would go, fuck, chuck 17 cents on that pizza, man. I don't mind. As long if I could eat that pizza feeling guilty as fuck about this greasy pizza I'm eating and knowing that, I am actually supporting someone, like we can make it work. We don't have to go full socialism. Like we can kind of just fix a few things and pitch in a bit more. And we don't have to make it about being British. We just have to make it about being a human fucking being. And hopefully that's where this will come from, being humanist, being more about looking after each other as humans and our world and our planet, hopefully.
Yeah.
Also, completely slight different tangent, but I was watching that David Attenborough extinction thing. Man, I just wanted to go out and work.
It's a very good documentary. I think people should watch that.
Those cute little fucking pangolins, like the little buddies. You get them out and they have a little walk around.
That was the worst one as well.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
it's worth watching just for the. It's
Yeah.
worth watching just to see the devastation going on, and obviously like basic things that you don't even really kind of take a second thought about. The fact that we're just dumping shitloads of things into the land, covering it over, and not thinking what that's going to do to the environment underneath, around, to rivers, and we just contribute to it every day. Like, just think about all the plastic packaging and shit that you probably use today alone. Like, it's so much, and it's so hard to really recycle some of those bits that it seems an impossible task for everyone to kind of take on. So it's very much a corporation-based issue that they need to kind of solve from the top down. But they're getting so much fucking money in the government that they couldn't give a shit. And obviously with COVID, it makes it even more impossible. Because I think wasn't Attenborough asking for like 500 billion
half a trillion
a year from the world, basically the global market, to help push back into nature. And I don't know, it seems so irreversible that it is a hard watch in that sense, because it kind of just shows the raw facts of it all and how kind of a little bit helpless we are, really. But
I think it's difficult to make a documentary to try and sway the masses, but not have the premise so off-putting and so harrowing that you wouldn't watch it in the first place. That's what I was thinking about. It's like, this documentary is going to change your mind by watching it, but most people aren't going to watch it because they don't like the idea of seeing that
literally
reality. So
I caught points of view. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt too much, but that somebody literally said, "Oh, I don't want to watch this. This is just depressing with COVID going on." I just found that really fucking funny. But gone.
It's a good
it's the point Trott's making.
Without dismissing that point and putting that accent on it, it's valid to not overstress. I mean, people can only take so much, right? And if you're saying like, you should care about this and that, it's going to make you disassociate from those things. And I don't think it's going to be helpful to try and shove it down people's throats by saying like, we need to care about blah blah blah. There needs to be a tact and a way to approach individuals.
I think Attenborough's point is that we can't keep our heads in the sand, otherwise nothing's going to happen. If we keep going,
it's somebody else's problem.
It's somebody else's problem. We need to know about this now. We need to know the shit. We need facts more than ever now, because they're being denied from the top fucking level. So I think if there's someone willing to give us facts, I will take them and accept them as they are. And although it's fucking brutal, I'm glad I know them rather than live in a fantasy world of ignorance, because it is nice.
I agree
to not know about these things.
I agree with you, Ross, in that I take that same stance. I'm like, this is stressful. This is hard to compute, but I need to know this as a responsible person. I need to know this. But I know what Trott's saying in terms of and this is the thing. This is what I was saying about earlier about that liberal middle class bubble. We are in this almost bubble where we are capable of talking about these things, where we are capable of making the changes in our lives because we have the money to do it. We can buy hybrid cars. We can buy, we can buy food and things like that have packaging that is recyclable, but all these things are more expensive. So yes, we can do our bit, but I think what Trott's saying is really important, where we need to look at how you can influence people to make change, because it's like that old story about like the wind and the sun trying to get a man's coat off, right? So it's like the wind, you can blow and blow and blow, and the man will tighten his jacket around him. He will hold that thing harder and tighter and tighter. The heat of the sun causes the man to take his jacket off, right? And that's how you take that. So it's about how you influence people, how you affect people. And I completely agree with Trott that there is. This is why I always say we need propaganda. We need a functioning propaganda. This sounds really fucking mental now, but like propaganda.
But for climate, for
exactly
society,
propaganda can be used
growth.
Essentially is political influence and societal influence, but we can use it in a good way, for sure. And I think that Extinction documentary is a form of propaganda. Propaganda isn't always not truthful. Propaganda is just designed communications to influence and change a person's action. And I also completely agree in that sense.
It just seems insane to politicize something that literally affects everyone, regardless of what you think, regardless of how bigoted you are or how liberal you are, whatever. Like, this affects everyone, your children, the animals around you, everything. So there shouldn't be politics involved in this. It should be a case of, I stand for that. So that's why it's so disappointing seeing what's happening in America now, where they put out the comparison.
And that's why we need to move.
It's just we need those things progressing.
And that's why we need to move away from
thrown off as a liberal. Gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that's why we need to move away from tribalism. That's why we need to move away from this idea of country identity and all this sort of stuff. It's pointless, because this is the biggest issue facing all of us, humanity. Like, this is the biggest issue facing humanity, and for sure, we will not solve these problems by being tribalistic, by being individualistic, and this is why a little touch of socialism is necessary. I mean, the people that are hearing this probably already fucking know this.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, what happens? Like, you guys are angry and upset, and you know the reality.
Yeah.
You're stuck with a powerless knowledge. That's what you have.
I know. Yeah.
Are you going to take to the streets and fix everything top down? No, you're not. Ultimately, you're just more stressed out than you were before. Like, your knowledge, you have that knowledge. That's great. But you're still living your life. Yeah, sure, you're recycling more or whatever, not being as wasteful. Yeah. That's great. I think any regular, well-minded person would do that anyway. I've not seen the documentary. I'm still doing that. I'm not doing any worse than you guys are for not having seen it. But, like, I think there is... I don't know what to do about it. Like, you can watch as many documentaries as you like, but no change is going to happen because you don't have enough money to change it. So, what do we do?
It's more of a case of gaining awareness for a larger number of people is the important thing, because then you can vote for the people who will enact those changes. That's the important part, right? So obviously, I don't think... I mean, we could talk about this privately, sure, but I think the fact that we're talking about this on a platform where we know people are watching and more people will see it, maybe they'll also change their habits, maybe they'll check that documentary, maybe they will vote for the people who they know will make those changes. That's why I watch those, because I know that we have an influence. I probably would ignore some of it if I didn't know that we are lucky enough to pass on the message to more people who hopefully will take it on board and think, oh shit, that's something we can do. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's like I watch John Oliver stuff all the time, and every time I come back, I finish watching, I'm like, fucking hell, what can we do about that though? Like, all the crazy shit in politics and all that other stuff. Like, what can an individual do about it? You do feel very helpless, and I know what you mean.
Going back to like social dilemma and shit like that, we are still in our tribal bubbles, and the algorithms are creating those bubbles and hardening them and disconnecting us from them. Our audiences are drawn to us because of like-minded thoughts and opinions. Like, everyone that's in our audience, they might have slight varying opinions on certain things, but overall, people agree with us. Like, we're not reaching beyond that bubble. When we were in uni and we thought, fuck, we're really pushing for this, Liberal Democrats are going to get into power and our tuition fees are going to be abolished. That's amazing. Only for it to, like, realize that, even Brexit, like, we thought, surely this can't fucking go through. No. And then we realized,
and at least the promises
seen
they made
news
would
feeds
happen.
That, we've had, like, algorithms just feeding the same shit to us. We have our echo chambers telling us that, of course, everyone agrees with that. I've got 500 likes on this thing. It can't go wrong, right? And then you realize the rest of the fucking world thinks differently, and they're in their own algorithmic bubbles being fed propaganda and shit like that, forcing more of a disconnect. So it's really, really tough to know what the truth is and, like, filter all that shit out. And as much as we say we have a platform of people that will say, yeah, of course.
Probably
and then move on with that.
I mean, I imagine there'll be a few who may disagree with us, but yeah, I know what you mean. Like, it is.
We might sway a few, but not the masses, not the majority that is required.
Recently, I've changed my perspective on this. I honestly, for the longest time, thought like that, Trott. Like, as in, even about Black Lives Matter, to be honest with you, in terms of, I didn't know I could or think I could make any real difference by talking about it. Like, who cares about another sort of middle class white dude talking about issues that I've never really encountered? And like, but the reality was that talking about it and getting everyone talking about it and bringing it to the center stage of conversation, even if it is in your own echo chamber, is helpful. And you know, you were the person telling me that. Like, I'm interested to hear the fact that you did that, and then you still feel as slightly powerless. I think you're right to an extent, for sure. Like, social media especially is designed to keep us in agreement.
We don't see the results of our work, do we? We don't see,
like, ultimately,
like, something you say could affect somebody to change their lifestyle, but you just won't see that ever.
I'm never going to stop advocating change. And I don't think I still think it's better to voice the opinion, but sometimes it really does feel like you're shouting into the wind. And sometimes it's overwhelming for the individual to take that sometimes, where you've done all these attempts to try and change and do things for good, only to see that there's still a majority out there that doesn't give a shit and would much rather everything stay the same and we'll go down with our ship. And it's too much for an individual to bear. This doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing it at all. It doesn't mean I don't not believe in in our voices and swaying the few people that respond to us saying, you know what, I didn't care about this before, but now I really do. That means a lot. But I'm just worried on a global scale, not enough has been done. And it's scary, really.
It is scary. Yeah.
I'd say it'd be interesting to have this same conversation in 5 years' time, because I think that we are very much in a period of change at the moment, a period of transition. Like we personally, I feel like we've never been at a more contentious sort of part of our lives in terms of everything going on. Like maybe we're just more involved with it. Maybe that every person feels some of this.
You've only got one perspective, and we all grow up and have one life and then die. Are we just, is this just what all 30-year-olds go through at a point in their life where they thought they had it all figured out? And like, is there real change going on, or is it just us being more aware because we're adults and we're starting to absorb more information?
I don't think it's just our age. I think it's also, I mean, we mentioned it before, it is social media. It is all this other 24/7 news cycles.
Yeah.
We know about more happening every second of the day.
That is
and crazy shit's happening all the fucking time, and it's thrown at you. So like, that's what's new, and that's what's affecting. I fucking worry for people who have to do that at school. I mean, we've said that so many times. Like, Jesus Christ, like people comparing people's likes with each other or how many followers they have. Like all of these factors.
The new norm.
Like fuck, man. It's just that would be so stressful.
But there's no comparison. Like again, we know a time before the internet and before these things were important to our social standing. Whereas kids growing up now, that is their social standing, and there is no different to it. That is normal. So that is scary because there's a middleman in all these things that can slowly tweak and manipulate these relationships to monetize them. That's ultimately their goal. That relationship be damned, or how it's affecting the individual psychologically. As long as Facebook keeps you on their page, scrolling through and replying to tags and shit like that, that's all they care about.
I think once governments get to an age where they realize what social media is and what it does and the technology behind it, because they don't understand what it is, they don't know what to make laws about. So once they actually start making like restrictions or certain kind of allowances for what they should be advertising, when they should be advertising, and who they should be advertising it to, and limitations and stuff like that, then they might make a difference. But right now it's a fucking wild west out there. Like on stuff like Facebook and whatever, they can post whatever they want. It's free to a damaging point. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. That's something they're gonna have to deal with over.
We need to separate politics and the decision making process from social media. That's the thing. I don't think social media and being able to, like, in its current state, the problem is not lack of legal regulation, because the thing is with legal regulation is you need to look at, well, who's regulating it. Like you're just introducing a different party, really, is what's you'll say, okay, we need more legal regulation. Okay, who's going to be in charge of that? Fucking Boris Johnson and his cronies. I wonder what will happen there.
The regulator.
Exactly. So I think that a more possible outcome would be to change people's expectations of what that thing provides you. You know, don't just vote based on what you see on Twitter. Don't just, live your life by your products and things like that, by what you base on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat, like, for sure. And I think it's more about teaching people the relationship between your life and those technologies rather than having, because I just don't think legal regulation will work very well. I just don't think it will. Partly because these companies have so much money and power, they can just resist it.
Well, that's it.
Yeah,
exactly. So, but did you see that Twitter introduced a feature? Well, I don't know if it's actually active yet, but they're introducing a feature where if you retweet an article, you have to tick and say that you've read the article first, rather than the headline.
Oh, interesting.
Which is a massive difference, I think, because some people just read a headline and instantly go, "This is outrageous," but that's the whole point. It's supposed to draw you in. So read the article first. I think that's a really it's little steps like that which might be in the right direction in terms of how we communicate things with each other and not misinform.
Yeah, and that's them kind of scuppering their plans to be even more monetizable and profitable. That's them adding a obstacle to them just being like, well, it'd be easier if everyone could just retweet articles and stuff. That will keep them on the platform. Yeah, that's going against that ethos, which is interesting to see. Yeah. I think the other thing as well is I think we need to teach a bit of humility to everybody. Like to teach people to understand it's okay to be wrong sometimes and not to valiantly defend your opinion just because you instinctively do that. Sometimes you need to be able to handle and deal with an opposing argument and handle it logically and reasonably and take in that information first before having an emotional reaction to it. I think that needs to be taught somehow.
For sure.
Just take a step back.
Logic over emotions is so much more useful when dealing with certain issues. Obviously, emotions are necessary in some issues, but for sure, like they can very much make sure, like, feel emotional for sure, but make sure that they're not the things that are guiding your decision-making process. The facts are. I guess the problem is then finding the facts. Anyway, any other news? Any other bits?
I did. We've overrun quite a bit, so I don't know if I can go into that now. But I mean, there was one story that was quite funny actually. Well, was it funny?
No, it's a Ross Hornby.
Donald Trump and Melania
It was
get COVID.
Got COVID. Yeah.
Oh, the irony.
Everyone was expecting.
The thing is that Boris Johnson had it as well. It wasn't really exactly like. I don't think it's. He'll be fine.
Don't downplay it, Ross. You sound like you're downplaying the danger of it.
I know, but as in, like, I mean, Boris Johnson had it, and everyone was like panicking. But like, I hope he does recover because, like, he'll probably be hailed as some sort of legend who died in power and stuff. And I don't think that's what he deserves. Do you know what I mean?
He's still out of the picture. I'd take martyrdom over having an active Donald Trump any day. But I mean, also, who's to say he's actually got it and he's not just doing it to avoid more debates and to turn the news cycle of focus on. I hope our president survives to give good vibes that you may.
Well, that's it. Would you cancel an election? Would you cancel an election if every chance president died?
No.
Who knows?
No, that's not democracy. That's not what
this
Americans
is another point of, like, people are going to be saying that, Smith, as if it's factual as well, and that's going to be retweeted, and there's going to be loads of conspiracy theories out there that people are just going to get behind and start believing. So it's dangerous time.
It would have been better if it just hadn't been involved, as in it hadn't been made so real like this, because either people will say that he survived and it's not that bad, or he will die, which honestly, I don't know. I mean, the ideal would be it's bad for him, but he gets out of it, and then they still have political debate, and they still have, you know, the electorate can make a decision based on debate rather than like, oh, he was all right before he got sick, and I guess he'll be all right after. Who knows? It's just another fucking modifier on the whole situation.
That's a very good point. If he's absolutely fine, that's not a very good message for all the people who should be, you know, wearing masks and protecting others. But I
imagine if Joe Biden fucking gets it. He was in the room with him days ago. That would be the worst. Like, imagine, oh God. I mean, I don't know what would happen. I guess it would go to Kamala Harris as the primary presidential candidate if Joe Biden were to die. Which wouldn't be a bad thing.
The story I was going to say, by the way, was a man accidentally swallowed his toothbrush whilst brushing his teeth, and they had to remove it from his stomach.
How big was the toothbrush? That must have been a small toothbrush.
I don't. It was a regular toothbrush. It was a 19-centimeter long brush. Like, okay, so the patient, 39, whose name has been withheld, probably because he swallowed his own toothbrush. You don't need to show the pictures. He rushed to a nearby health clinic, which quickly referred him to a hospital more than 100 kilometers away. An X-ray and further tests couldn't locate the brush in the man's throat, leading doctors to conclude it was in his stomach. And they had a minor operation, and they pulled out a toothbrush from his stomach. He just swallowed a toothbrush.
Just like really getting the molars right at the back.
I don't know how you swallow a toothbrush. Like, it's so long that it would just get jarred. Like, was he like all the way? Like, was his neck
really
all the way back
there.
when he swallowed
Get
it?
them
Like,
wisdom
fucking
teeth.
hell, man. And also, it feels like you would have to really try to swallow something that long and like thin. I don't know, but yeah. Thought that was kind of funny. He survived. It's fine.
That's wild.
Jesus.
I mean,
wow.
Weird one.
I'm going to seriously reconsider my deep throat training with my toothbrush.
Yeah, definitely. Be safe out there.
It's got right at the back this time. Didn't even throw up. Amazing.
Yeah. It's gone and it's gone down. And it's electric.
I just got a disposable toothbrush. Yeah, electric one. You'd be fucked. Jesus Christ. It's still on.
I was just clearing my teeth, doctor. Just clearing my teeth.
I imagine
I think that would be more believable.
An electric toothbrush could do a lot more damage to the inside of you, though. Imagine that, just like going at your stomach lining.
Very fragile.
Yeah, God. Just grinding away as it goes down. Yeah, not good.
So I'll pass it. Doctor, I'll pass it. Just give me some laxatives. I can pass this bastard.
Honestly.
Call it
I love a challenge.
My colon. Oh, God.
It's going around a corner. As we go around a corner. Just like an object.
It's turning. I can feel it.
Hold on, I'm having a turn. The baby's...
It's a U-bend. It's a U-bend. Oh.
Why do the intestines twist so much? Why is it a switchback?
Yeah, it is a switch.
I seriously thought that would be impossible, but there you go. Nice.
Thanks for achieving new heights, humanity.
Yeah.
We did
We
it.
never thought possible.
We did it.
Well, that's a good way to end, I think.
Why not?
Yeah.
We
Whimsical.
got deep again, like that toothbrush
Very
did. That
deep.
guy's fucking intestines.
Exactly.
Am I right?
There's so much going on at the moment that it's just hard not to talk
Yeah.
about it, I guess.
It's a lot to splurge. There used to be a time where we thought, God, we're gonna have to like spread out these hat chats. There's not a lot to talk about. But nowadays, it's
Yeah.
like, what harrowing shit should we talk about this week?
Essentially, yeah. I mean, 2 weeks
Yeah.
gives you enough. There's enough weird shit going on.
Plenty. Just got to keep it nice and anchored. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you. For
Oh, you want to
tuning
talk
in.
about aliens again?
Oh,
Sorry,
we
guys.
could have.
Come back
We
to
should have given
aliens.
some.
I actually,
give us
guys,
some
I legitimately had to stop watching stuff at the beginning of last week. I was like, all right, I got to stop fucking watching stuff about aliens. I'm going fucking crazy. And I literally stopped. I haven't watched anything for 2 weeks. And I'm
He's
just
there,
like,
got binoculars out his window. He's like,
I need to come off this high.
I'm still, I will say, I'm still convinced there is stuff going on that we don't understand in the sky. Like, there is too much evidence to suggest that. But I will say that, like, it creeps. There's just so much, like, false information out there as well that you're just like, what's
I
real?
could just imagine, like Smith going on his bike ride, but he's a little bit more haggard. He hasn't showered, and his hair's all
Yeah.
over the place. And he's like
He's like,
darting around looking
it's a
at
hot
the
one.
sky.
It's a hot one. I've got tinfoil all over my body. What?
It's the only
Oh my
place I'm
God.
safe now.
Cycling in tinfoil.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy.
Anyway,
Everything in
thanks for-
moderation, including UFO information.
Yeah.
Jesus. Balance it out with a harrowing documentary about the extinction
The
of our
extinction of our
planet.
planet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking up, like, please be real. We need to go.
Take me away.
Yeah.
Thank you to our Patreon supporters for somehow,
Indeed.
look at this, supporting us on patreon.com/hatfilms. There it is. Ding dong. You guys are keeping this going. Honestly, there are no sponsorships right
Yep.
now on this, so your Patreon support is allowing us to do this on a Friday instead
Not
of,
even
you
there
know,
anymore.
playing games or whatever. So thank you for that. We do enjoy doing the podcast. And if you do make awesome fingles, then please send it to our email, hat-films.com, with the subject title of Fingal. And yeah, keep it nice and short. We don't need 3-minute epics because I don't want to not show that whole thing. We've only got like 12 seconds at the start, so it'd be a shame for you to pour that effort in for only 12 seconds for it to be played. So thank you, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks. I'm sure lots is going to happen. So enjoy the rest of your bye-week.
Just before we finish, can we just imagine how different the world might be in 2 weeks' time? Like,
It's gonna be
legitimately,
crazy.
it could be.
Do you want to make
So
some
different.
predictions?
You never know. You never know.
No, it terrifies me.
Aliens land.
Don't even predict. Aliens.
No,
the
I don't
aliens
mean
are
that.
here.
I mean the fucking Trump stuff, man. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus, like,
Who knows?
Coming goes.
You want to make a bet?
No,
Gonna make bets
honestly,
now?
no way.
I'm gonna go and watch that.
We
South
do have
Park
the curse.
special.
We have
Oh
this
yeah, fuck
Oh.
yeah. There's a South Park special.
out
I'm
now.
so excited.
Yeah,
for
that'd be funny as
Nice.
fuck, probably.
that. Yeah.
Remind us next
Anyway.
time what we thought of that.
Okay.
Bye for now,
Yeah.
everybody. Have a good 2
Right.
weeks.
Bye.
Oh, they're three guys they call Hatfields. They will talk so much filth. They're called Hatfields. There is Ross, Chris, Trott and Smith. They will talk so much shit. They're called Hatfields. They're called Hatfields. They're called